I'm Colin Harris, Technical Director of Knoware. We are a specialist business intelligence, analytics and SAS consultancy organisation based in New Zealand. This video is a part of a series of videos where we give independent feedback on the recent SAS Global Forum, which was held in San Francisco in May 2013. This video covers the analytics part of the feedback, and as we can see from the list of topics here, there's a range of topics that we're providing feedback on in different videos that you can find. This particular one is covering the one highlighted in yellow there, analytics. As a lot of you will know, SAS is a specialist in providing analytics software, and there's a lot of enhancements across the whole range of SAS products. I'm just going to look at three areas, these three areas here. High performance analytics using the traditional procedures. SAS Visual Analytics is the second one, and the third one is text mining. So with traditional procedures, SAS have introduced a whole lot of high-performance capability, and how they do this is to, under the covers, use massive parallel processing technology, or MPP technology, or as I've said in one of the earlier parts of these videos, high-performance computing. And what that allows the technology to do is use the standard SAS procedures, but spread the processing across lots of different processes and utilise data in memory to get far faster results. The nice thing from those existing SAS users out there that it's very straightforward still to use. SAS have made it easy to use this capability by carrying on by using the standard procedures that you're used to in the past. If you have a look down the bottom there, we see high performance statistics. So for example, if you're familiar with the regression procedure is called reg, they have now got a new procedure called HP reg for high performance reg. And the underlying same code all still works. You just use that same syntax, change it to HP reg, and you're automatically using high-performance computing to spread your processing across lots of different servers under the covers. And that's the same for all these procedures that are listed here. So under statistics, you can see there logistic, mixed for mixed models, and so on. Under the econometrics list, you can see the list of procedures there, and similarly for optimization, for data mining, for text mining, and for high-performance forecasting. What's also good is some common data preparation procedures have also been enabled for high-performance computing as well. And they're listed at the bottom there. I'll just pick out my favourite there, HP summary, or as we know, proc summary or proc means. Really, really good for summarising data in a really efficient and effective way and easy to use. That has now been made even faster by allowing it to run across multiple processes by using HP summary. Now that's the high performance way that SAS have been doing that over the last couple of releases, but a really nice thing that they have added is in 9.4 is the capability to do these high performance procedures on a single server but over multiple processes. By that I mean traditional processes from SAS, procedures from SAS, will just use one core, so you may have a 16 core server. The SAS processor would just run on one core of those 16. Now, the capability with SAS allows you to spread across those different processes available within the single server. SMP, you're using one server, but multiple processes. And the very nice thing from SAS is that to utilise that capability, there's no increase in software licensing fees to utilise that. You can, if you have that capability, if you have servers that allow you to do that, your current licensing fees allow you to take advantage of those new procedures. So that's for SMP processing, but to use the massive parallel processing across multiple servers, that is additional licensing fees to cover that technology. There was an example presented at the conference by JP Morgan Chase, very large US bank, or the largest US bank, trillions of dollars in funds. And what they presented was an example a real-life example of where they've been using high-performance computing. They give a bit of background, SAS environment of about 30 terabytes of data. They've also got a lot of other data, unstructured data there that to take advantage of, about 75 terabytes of that. And to work now, they really need to trade off between speed and accuracy. Because they're large volumes of data they're dealing with, it takes a long time to process, so they can really not get the accuracy or the best results that they're actually after. But they've now been looking and using high-performance computing, and they gave a couple of examples of one being a mortgage risk management modelling. The job to do that typically took around 5 hours. With high-performance computing, exactly those HP procedures we looked at on the previous slide, that's been reduced down to 84 seconds. So that's dramatic, over 200 times faster. People would be very pleased to get something running twice as fast or 3 times as fast, but when we're talking that order of magnitude, it really is a compelling situation to look into this newer technology for the speed that you can get. So the advantages they were saying is it's not just the matter of you get that faster result. That then enables them to try all sorts of variations, try different what-if situations, and to get a much better model rather than just the one that they can afford to run each time, just running that one particular model. The next example they gave was a line of credit model, and that also took about 5 hours, and it was now down to 180 seconds. And that's over 100 times faster, still significantly faster. So I think that's useful just to have a real-life example of the speed that you can actually get now by using this latest technology that's available through SAS. So the second area to move into is SAS Visual Analytics. You may or may not have come across that. If you haven't come across it, this gives you a little bit of background of what SAS Visual Analytics is, but of course you can get a lot more detail from the SAS website. But SAS Visual Analytics is a real new way for SAS to operate and to offer customers a way to work. It hasn't been around that long. It's just over a year that it's been around, but they're working on it very quickly and bringing out new releases very quickly. The third release was announced at SAS Global Forum, so that's the third release over 12 months, is pretty impressive. There's over 200 customers now around the world. You can install it traditionally on your infrastructure, or you can install it in a cloud fashion, either in a public cloud or a private cloud. Earlier releases were really for larger sets of hardware, but the demand has been, and that SAS have now implemented it to work in small environments as well. So now it works on a single server environment, Linux or Windows single server environment, where you've got multiple processors, and this capability will take advantage of those multiple processors within a single server. The technology that SAS have brought out to take advantage of the multiple processors is called SAS Laser. That's just the name in case you hear that around. And previous versions, it was MPP technology only, which meant over multiple servers. But as I just said, that's now available on single servers as well using SMP technology. I've got a couple of screenshots coming up to show you what it looks like. But really, the best way to get a handle on what it is like to use and what it looks like is to go to the SAS website, and you can use their interactive demo to use Visual Analytics for real and try that out and see how it works in as a real example. What's it for? What's Visual Analytics for? Well, two broad areas. The first is really what the name implies, which is for ad hoc exploration and analysis of data. And really that's a combination of the traditional sort of exploratory data analysis world, but also some of the more structured data mining techniques. So for those wishing to analyse information, you can get that from the Visual Analytics part of this particular product. There's also another part of it which doesn't really come out in the title, which is more precise dashboards or structured reporting, and you can use this tool set for that as well. One of the really interesting papers that I went to at the conference was saying that you really still need a methodology for the best way to use this type of product, because a lot of the demonstrations you'll see and examples you'll see is just someone saying, let's jump on here and explore, jump around, look at things. But really, there is a good structured way to go through and explore and analyse the information properly. And I'd certainly recommend that paper, and that was called The Forest and the Trees. And you could look up on the website for the proceedings of the conference and find that paper, which gives a lot of good information. All right, so these following slides just give you an idea of what the actual user interface is like from the SAS Visual Analytics product. They're not the best quality, I'm afraid. They're just straight from the presentations that were given at the conference, so the screenshots and the papers, so not as ideal as I would like. But yeah, if you go to that demonstration on the SAS website, you can get a clearer picture of what it looks like. This is really just to give you the flavour of what they look like. First one here is the Visual Data Builder. What that does is an interface, and it allows you to build up how you need to prepare the data. So you'll bring in data from different locations, different sources, from a database, from Excel spreadsheets, from flat files, wherever they are. Bring that into the SAS environment, define how the data is to be brought together and to created for the Visual Analytics product. What it's essentially doing is building a large denormalized file. So it's just one flat file, and that's how SAS will utilise that file in a very fast and efficient manner. Rather than lots of individual denormalised tables, if you've got data in that form, you feed it through this tool, and that will create the denormalised structure that's required to get the fast performance. The Visual Data Builder is not available as part of the demonstration on the SAS website, so you'll only see that here. So these next two slides are examples of the actual user of the product rather than the data integration perspective, and both of these are available through the SAS demo on the website from SAS. So this first one is the Visual Analytics part of the Visual Analytics product. So it's called Visual Analytics Explorer, and this is really as an analyst or a more experienced end user would go in and work with the data and get the insights that they're actually after. Just to explain briefly what's here, on the left-hand side, you have, I'll bring the mouse over there, on the left-hand side there, you've got the data elements. This is what data elements do you want to work with. In the middle there's a range of charts that have been created by this particular user, and it's very, very graphical, very visual, lots of different types of graphical charts to show patterns and trends and enable you to understand the information better. There's also textual things as well, but they don't look so nice, so we just don't have examples of those there. Just a listing of individual detailed results. And on the right-hand side, selection options to allow you to look at information in different ways. So that's just a look at the type of interface that is available. Very visual, very interactive. The next one here is the Visual Analytics Designer, and that is for designing reports or designing dashboards that are going to go out to end users or consumers of information. So you would use this interface to design something, as you see here. This is a nice looking dashboard, and then that dashboard can be deployed out to end users or end consumers, and they can view that information on their through their browser on the website or through an iPad or some other mobile device as well. Mobile devices are supported very nicely through this particular product. Here's just another couple of examples of dashboard style reports that have been developed and pushed out there. As you can see there, this is one from a telecoms provider. Another example from a telecoms provider showing you some of the different types of widgets that you can get, the standard dashboard type widgets of the speedo dials on the top left, or on the top right there, some other indicators, the spark lines. There's all sorts of the traditional dashboard style of widgets that you can use to create these type of reports or interfaces. Okay, so there was just a couple of examples. They were using the current existing dark theme. You'll notice the black background, and the future versions will use a lighter theme, and we'll see an example of that later on. So an example was presented there. Lenovo stood up and gave a presentation on how they're using this technology and what they're using it for. The person who was presenting there was heading up a team where they're analysing all the worldwide web activity for Lenovo products. So what that is looking at YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, huge amount of information, of course, as you expect. Thousands of new items flowing in every minute, and they were needing to make sense of that. So they took a sample of time over a matter of weeks, and that was 200 million rows that they needed to analyse. Traditionally, they were doing that and taking several weeks to analyse that data. Now, with Visual Analytics, they were doing that very, very quickly. Once they'd loaded that data in, 1.5 seconds, they were doing new scenarios and could look at lots of different scenarios, get lots of new insight out of that very, very quickly. So they certainly saw the benefit of from weeks of work down to doing things in a few seconds and minutes. So what they were doing, the type of thing they were doing was looking at the feedback, what was coming through, what was being reported, what people were talking about by country, by channel, and by a range of other categories as well, and just seeing what the trends were, whether there's positive trends, negative trends, and so on. Okay, so that's visual analytics as it stands. What are some of the new things that's coming out over the new release that's just being made available now? Well, they've increased the capability from the forecasting perspective. They've got a new technique in there called scenario analysis, and it's a very nice interface. What you can do is dynamically move, effectively, levers up and down, and you can see the results of that forecasting changes dynamically right in front of you. Decision trees have been added. That's something that people really find useful, and so that has now been added into the Visual Analytics product set. There's better reporting. Mobile has always been supported, but they've improved the capabilities there, particularly for collaboration. So people can put comments onto particular reports or dashboards, and people can see that as other people view those same items as well. The dark theme to the light theme I mentioned already, just mentioning that again, and you can create your own themes. So you can have a corporate feel and have your own particular colours, your corporate colours and logos and so on. So here's an example of decision trees, just to show you what that would look like, and it also shows that it now has the white or the light theme behind it rather than the darker theme. So that was visual analytics. Third and last area I wanted to talk about was text mining. That's been available for a while within SAS, but it's still a new area to lots of people, and that's why we like to pay attention to this. It's something we're very keen on, particularly from our unstructured part of the business, where people are getting into records management, unstructured data analysis and so on. So this is an area that we get pretty keen on. I'll take a different take on this one. There's lots of examples presented at the conference, and I just picked out some of the ones that I thought were particularly interesting and perhaps a bit different than what people would think where text mining would be used. First one there was, what was the economic impact of the London Olympics? Was it positive or not? And this was analysing tweets, and it was really interesting. I found that, over 70% of people came back in terms of this was negative in terms of financial benefit to the UK, which is interesting because from afar you think it was a very successful Olympics and everyone would be very happy and great or wonderful things coming out of it. So, but that was not the case from the UK perspective. A couple of interesting numbers out of there. £9.3 billion was spent on the Olympics. And a couple of other interesting things I found were that the average overspend was 180%, so spending a heck of a lot more than the original budgets. Montreal was the worst at 800%, so spending 8 times what their budget was. Pretty amazing, really. So another couple of examples. The first one there is Alberta government. What they are doing is now using text mining to replace a manual surveying system, and there's a lot of information they've got coming in. 1.5 million campers, but camping in the various national parks and so on, and it's their feedback to see customer satisfaction. Reviews came up quite often, web reviews on various products. There was one there, an example of looking at Kindle reviews, and the result of that one was that 81% were positive in terms of happy with their Kindles. More traditional one at the bottom of the page there, talking about analysing call centre calls. So all the millions of calls that were coming in, and of course that's all unstructured information getting captured from those voice messages, and text mining was used to go through that and analyse the patterns of particular subjects that were being talked about, whether they're positive, whether they're negative, and so on. Next one was quite interesting, I thought. Country music topics of the last 25 years, and the outcome of that was that country life was the top topic that was talked about in country music, or covered in country music, followed by heartbreak, family, and then love, and then a whole lot of other categories. More reviews, so reviewing Android and Apple applications. Next one was a particular campaign that was run in the US, Microsoft's Bing It On campaign, analysing how well that was. And then there was a rather weird one, I felt, in terms of do people still miss Steve Jobs, was a was reviewed in terms of analysing what's out there in social media. A couple of other interesting examples that came through, the non-traditional areas. Moneyball, I don't know how many people have seen the film or read the book, but what that was is about Oakland Athletics baseball team, and traditionally it was run on gut feel, not only this team but all teams, run on gut feel by the experts in a particular sport. This team brought in a different approach, used analytics to measure how the team was performing, how it could do better and so on, and it was extremely effective. This team had one of the lowest budgets in the competition, and that reflected in terms of being one of the worst performers as well. But by using analytics, they were able to use their low budget to best effect, and in fact dramatically change the turnaround of the team in terms of performance, and they ended up winning three titles in the division that they actually play in. So now, of course, most others have followed suit, and all of the teams are using analytics, but it was an interesting story just to show how analytics can give you competitive advantage, and certainly that's what smart organisations are doing, taking on more of these advanced analytics techniques to make their businesses run a lot better and better than their competitors. Another interesting one in the analytics space was someone who's extremely successful in Jeopardy. He used analytics to plan his approach, how best to spend his time, which areas to study, which questions to focus on from all the questions that have been covered in the past. So he did that in a very methodical and structured way with fantastic results. He ended up being the highest one-day winner ever and the fourth highest total winner ever. So another interesting use of analytics. All right, so that covers the analytics section of our SAS Global Forum feedback. Don't forget to have a look at some of the other topics we're covering as well, and thank you for watching.